You are watching EAC News. Thanks for joining us. The National Museum of Cambodia is a remarkable place that secures history and instills pride for the kingdom, being the biggest museum in Cambodia. However, the museum had to close for months amid the spread of COVID-19, separating the millennial statues from its people. But since the 30th of October, the National Museum of Cambodia has finally opened its doors. EAC News reporter Yuri Matoszko sat down with the director of the National Museum, Chhay Visoth, who kindly told of the changes and repairs the museum is facing for an enhanced experience for the public.
In 1917, the Governor-General of French Protectorate of Indochina, in which Cambodia used to be part, appointed George Groslier to conduct a study on the state of Cambodian arts. George Groslier was a painter, historian, and curator, born and raised in Cambodia, becoming the responsible to design a museum completely based on Khmer culture and history. A foundation stone to build the museum was laid on August 1917, finishing its construction in April of 1920. The museum itself had experienced all the contemporary events of Cambodia, from Cambodian independence in 1953 to the Civil War under the Khmer Rouge authoritarian regime, in which the museum had to close between 1975 to 1979. Just as the museum was about to complete its 100-year anniversary in 2020, the museum had to close its doors once again, this time for safe precautions amid the rise of COVID-19 pandemic. More than a year after, the royal government's successful vaccination campaign has given the kingdom the opportunity to enter in its new phase of normality. In the 30th of October onwards, the National Museum has finally been allowed to thrive once again as the most important museum of Cambodia. It houses one of the world's greatest collections of Khmer culture material, including sculpture, ceramics, and ethnographic objects from the prehistoric, pre-Angkorian, Angkorian, and post-Angkorian periods. EAC News had the opportunity to interview the director of National Museum, Chhay Visoth. Visoth says that although the closure of the National Museum had distanced the public from its exhibition, it gave more time for essential repairs at the building.
During the closing, we have great benefits from this in terms of spending time for the conservation and restoration of the building. And particularly, we are concerning about the restoration and repainting our galleries and reorganizing the position of the statues and other stuff related to improving the physical appearance of the National Museum. I think, that is a great achievement that we have done in order to be ready, not completely 100% ready for reopening, but at least after the government announce or allow us to reopen, most of the part that we are prepared has been done, except for the restoration of the roof. For us, during this reopening, we are very pleased to welcome the visitor, but in the way that we need to follow the guidelines of the SOPs standardization that requested by the Ministry of Health. So we follow these guidelines, and we have to be sure that we offer the safe environment or safe condition for the local and international visitors.
The director has also given an insight about how the statues were reorganized for the museum's reopening. He believes that new and refreshing contents might attract new visitors.
When they come back, they hope to see something a little bit new or completely new. It depends on, for example, we have a new contemporary exhibition that is very new. And then for us, at the moment, I try my best in order to reorganize some position of the statue in pre-Angkorian gallery and Angkorian gallery. These two gallery completely rearranged for the position of some statues. And then I try my best, to give the context to the visitors through the themes of religious or through the themes of the iconographies of the statues. It depends on the context. For example, we are thinking about rearranging in terms of space and in terms of the chronologies of the art, because the way that we are displaying through the art chronology, let's say a pre-Angkorian, Angkorian, or post-Angkorian, something like that. So we go through that. I still follow that ways, but try to give themes to highlight it. And I'm thinking about giving space for visitor, and some part I reduce the number of the statue, and then I try to bring an important statue that we are displaying outside of the main gallery and bring it back to the gallery. Sometimes some statue, I need to bring it out, so we rearrange it. But sometimes it's very difficult for me while we are rearranging, especially for the early periods of the Angkorian period, because it's very compact. It's very more statues in this particular periods, 4 or 5 style are combining together, but not chronologically jump out. That is the most difficulty. I cannot deal completely the issue of this in order to give the picture, or to let the visitor easy to understand about that statue, because it jumped from, let's say, Kulen, Preko, and then jump to Koke, and then back to Pantesrei or something like that. So it not go step by step or period by period.
Chhay Visoth says the balance of the space and the number of statues are a challenge. According to him, there are 20,000 statues being conserved at the museum, in the main galleries, adjacent areas, and in the special storage. He has also shared with EAC News the museum is working hard to improve the lights and the signboards for each statue.
You can see the way that I try to change is equip the light system, because I think this is very important. We cannot use the natural sunlight in order to capture or to showcase a statue, especially the masterpieces, because sunlight is not stable, especially during the rainy season. It can be dark or more light, and that's why we need a sustainable, a light system that showcase each statue. This attract me the most, because the feeling when we send our statue abroad, and then they put in their galleries, and they use the light system, it seemed to be the same object. It would be more, how can I say, attraction than the statue that we are displaying in our gallery, because of the light system. This is very important.
The director of the National Museum is confident that in the future, young generations will be more involved in arts.
I have known that one big project that funded by the Japanese government in order to introduce art into the public school. This is the big way for younger generation of Cambodian started to love art. I know in the past, we have art, we have handicraft work, activity, but not completely focused to art, painting, drawing, or something like that. Not really strongly push younger Cambodian students to love art. It completely different from private school, especially for international school. They have the curriculum of art in their curriculum. That's why I'm very happy that I can see the publication of the book that will be introduced to the public school in the near future soon. This is what I can see, that the context of art would be absorbed into the level of the public school to the younger generation of the public student of the public school.
The National Museum of Cambodia opens from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. The tickets stop selling at 4:30 p.m., costing 500 reals for Cambodian. For international tourists aging 18 years old and up, the tickets are costing $10 and $5 for international tourists from the age 10 to 17 years old. Tour guides can be arranged in English, Khmer, French, and Japanese at the museum's main entrance. Yuri Matoszko, EAC News, the National Museum of Cambodia, Phnom Penh.